We're on.
Already?
We are on. We're on YouTube Live.
Wow.
Go to your browser and have a look.
Oh, I can see us. I was still jamming to that awesome disco music that you got us started off with, which was awesome. Hey, folks. Melissa,
How's the audio?
Sniper, you guys can hear us good. Hey, Myrna. Hey, Rain. Oh, good job, Duke. You typed it right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like how this looks. Great. They said we sound good.
Good.
We sound awesome.
Well, we haven't done this. We've done some lives, some other stuff, but we want to start doing YouTube lives. We just got off of Facebook. Don't forget to go to Facebook and watch our show. And actually, it'll be posted on YouTube after this chat session. But we wanted to invite people over to chat about the show, about anything else, or maybe you've been coming to our channel and you've been looking at the videos that we post here. Maybe you have some questions, you need some answers, you want to have some discussions. You're totally welcome to do all of that. I'm Duke Gomez-Schempp, and I'm with Mexican Crossing Lines.
And I'm Cindy Gomez-Schempp with A Mexican Crossing Lines. By the way, if our backgrounds look a little weird, it's because we just did a show on our Facebook page with the title Agents of Chaos. Or was it Chaos Agents? Anyway.
Agents of Chaos.
Agents of Chaos. And we were talking about some of the Antifa leadership at Standing Rock and also in the Portland riots. Allison, you are very welcome. I got to tell you, Allison, there was a lot of consternation from people, Paloma being one of them, the most consternated that I exposed her, because a lot of these folks, especially I noticed this at Standing Rock, they present as they are heroes. They present themselves, you know what I mean, Duke? Like they're like, oh, they're these great people that are saving the environment,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, hi, how can you say that this person is good? I had some of the folks that were actually doing the PR for Hollywood stop me. They talked to me. This is before I knew they were trying to manipulate me. They'd stop me before the show. They'd call me and be like, what are you going to do the show today on? Oh, well, I'm going to be talking about this person or this person. I'd start telling them little details. Oh, you're not going to talk about that person, are you? You should hold off on that for a bit. Don't say anything about them yet. And I was like, but why not? Rita says, can we get a little bit more volume? I don't think they can hear you very well.
You're talking about me or you?
I don't know. She didn't say. Hey, Rita, is it me or is it Duke? Who's the problem here with the sound? Or is it just both of us? Are we both too quiet? Because Rita says we need a better sound situation here. I'll wait to see what kind of a message we get. Anyway, this is what happened, both of us. She says both of us. Although Melissa says
it's fine.
It's fine. And you sound great. I was told, guys, by this person, Maggie Day, doing PR for Hollywood people that were at Standing Rock. Cindy, what if you're wrong? Because I kept asking her why I should listen to her. I said, just because I talk to you doesn't mean that you can manipulate what I say on my show. And people that try to do that get on my naughty list real quick. People that try to manipulate my stories are going to be on that poop list. And I warned her about it. I warned her about trying to manipulate me. And she told me, I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm trying to stop you from making a big mistake. What big mistake? What if you're wrong? She said. What if you are wrong? And I said, I know that this person, in the case, it was Vanessa Bolin. It was Vanessa Bolin, one of these so-called paramedics or medics at Standing Rock that I don't know if she's currently licensed or not, but she was involved in the kidnapping of Mary Trujillo and then the framing of Kathleen Bennett. And I said, well, I already saw the evidence. What else do I need to see? Right, Duke? Mm-hmm. Like, I always tell you this. What do I need? Do I need to see the hearts of men? What do you think, Duke?
I'm not sure what I think anymore. You know, we've been digging back into the past of these people, and it digs up so much. It digs up so much stuff. You know, that the show we just did tonight, we had to reach way back into the Wayback Machine, all the way back, because we're covering Evan Duke. You know, and this guy we've encountered since, you know, Standing Rock days. You know, almost 3 years ago, and we've had to follow him because he went from there all over the country to disaster areas, and then he started showing up manipulating the migrant caravan. Went down to Tijuana with Myron Dewey, another big so-called influencer who's still out there spreading lies, still out there doing damage, still out there doing things that are causing so many people harm. And these guys are being questioned now, and they blame us. And all we've done is expose what they're actually doing, and they've gotten away with so much, as Cindy covered on the show. They've gotten away with so much over these years, and in the very recent times, a lot. And the Antifa riots that just happened in Portland are part of their big push. And Evan Duke is at the crux of it, and he's at the crux of these organizations who have been doing the migrant caravan manipulation. And it bothers me a bit because of having to always go backwards and look at what these people were doing way back when. I would have loved to have been done covering those people a long time ago, but yet they're in our lap again.
Well, I was talking more about how my philosophy in life about people's actions. I think that it was enough that these people were doing something provably, demonstrably wrong, giving a false police report.
Yeah.
That was enough for me to expose them. And Maggie said, but what if they didn't intend for that to happen? What if that wasn't their intent? And I'm like, then they can fix it. If it wasn't their intent, after I tell people what they did, they can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Allison Gonzalez has a question for me.
Yeah.
Will Paloma for fraud get justice? What do you mean exactly, Allison? Do you think that that she is going to be prosecuted, or do you think that are you talking about whether or not her victims will see some sort of justice for what she has done? I would love some clarification from you on the specifics, but in general, I will say, and you may not like this answer, okay, folks? If you were just watching our show on Mexican Crossing Lines about the chaos agents, specifically Evan Duke being one of them that I mentioned, I asked, why is this man not in jail? I started off the show by saying, how many of the people involved at Standing Rock had taken months and months and sometimes even a year or longer before they ended up in jail, before there was a measure of justice, before they were shut down and they were stopped from continuing their defrauding. But you can understand why people are fooled when they look over and they see that Evan Duke is hanging out with Frances Fisher. Oh man, we missed that picture.
Which one was that?
I just told you. Evan Duke and Frances Fisher. Remember the actress?
Yeah.
Frances Fisher?
We never got it in the script or what?
Yeah, I think I don't think I put it in. There was so many. There was
Oh,
just so
yes.
many.
I remember you talking about, you were disgusted. You said something about Frances Fisher. And I think you got caught up and say, oh, I just hate this woman. She's the
I said a naughty word.
baby mama to, what's his name? Clint Eastwood.
Oh, Clint Eastwood's baby mama.
And she was also at Standing Rock, and she is the mama to a lot of these fake activists. And she's funded a lot of people, and she's continued to do that sort of damage from Hollywood, and a lot of people are getting funding from her. And so there was a picture of Evan K. Duke. Now, when we talk of Evan K. Duke, I always want people to use his full name.
Evan Kirk Duke.
Evan Kirk Duke or Evan K. Duke III, but never just call him Duke, because that's my name.
Yeah.
So don't confuse that guy with me when you say Duke is in this picture. No, it says Evan K. Duke III is in this picture. I never do that
because I don't
please
want people
don't,
to
please
think
don't.
it's you at all. But I want to say, getting back to the question, I don't want to get off topic here. The reason I'm answering it that way is that sometimes it takes time. It doesn't happen on our timeline, just like a lot of things don't happen on our timeline. But I am a Christian. I am a believer, a firm believer in God. I believe everything that happens under the watchful eye of God. And we will all have to answer for our actions. Even the things that we think nobody sees are seen by God. And I will tell you this, Paloma has hurt a lot of people. She has cost people time, money, pain. The list goes on and on and on. And there will be a comeuppance at some point. People like this, however, I will also mention, many of them are living out of their car, move from place to place. They rent a place. They move out of that place. They rent another place. They're always constantly moving and going and going and going. So you can never serve them because they know that the law is after them. They know people are going to try to, make them have some kind of accountability. So that's why they run. Okay. Another question here from Kim. Kim wants to know what we think about the changes in the Democratic Party toward socialism. You want to chime in? This is, after all, the Duke and question answer.
I think that the Democrats have been so weak and disorganized and trying to maintain a status quo for so many years that they've fallen apart. I got involved in politics a long time ago, and I did all the stuff where I went to the caucuses and, learned how this whole system works. It's supposed to be a democracy where a person in their neighborhood represents other people in their neighborhood, and then they become, an elector for those people, and they move on up in the system, both in the Republican and the Democrat, because and there's the third parties, but the third parties, are doing the same sort of thing, and you become delegates and try to get people nominated and all that stuff. And the Democrats, I always perceived, even in Minnesota, which is supposed to be so strong of a Democratic state, that they were always weak, meek. No one wanted to do anything. No one wanted to take any risks. Mm-hmm. And I think basically they're getting taken over by a bunch of bullies who are trying to create this so-called socialist agenda, and it's not. It's a capitalist agenda with a bunch of people that are standing in the front line to make a lot of money, and they're not really looking for the social activism to create equality and equity within our communities. These are people who are climbing for power, and so I think that the current Democratic takeover is because of the laziness of the people who have been involved in the Democratic Party and the people who rose to power. And they haven't allowed other people to rise to power. So they're kind of getting eaten from within, in my opinion. And I'm totally disgusted with it.
I got to say I'm a little bit confused because someone told me that as they aged, they became more conservative. And I think there's something to that, because the way that they teach kids in college, it's idealistic stuff that comes from professors that, many of them are activist professors, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, there is something to that. And since I am getting older, now that I'm years old, I realize I am really turned off by what's happening in the Democratic Party. Even though up until the time that I went to Standing Rock, I was very much a staunch progressive.
Yeah.
I haven't always voted strictly Democrat. I believe in looking at individuals. But for the most part, especially at the presidential level. What I will say, though, is I have to wonder, is this an attack on the left by non-Democrats? These are not Democrats. These are socialists.
Yeah.
AOC plus 3, Bernie, they're all socialists.
Mm-hmm.
And Evans talking about Marxist, Leninist, this and that, communism, that,
Mm-hmm.
and like what?
I think you're right. I think it is an attack because, like I said, I think the Democrats got lazy. I think they're unorganized. I think their principles have been watered down over the years. They're trying to be accepting of everything. They have opened themselves up to like the Bernie Sanders and the Berners and these people, the anarchists, to come in and take control and make, because they have to use that platform. Because the way the Constitution was written, we only, and the way that the electoral vote system works, you can't win a presidency without those two parties. And the Republicans have, done all their stuff. You talk a bunch about how they've imploded, and a lot of people that they have nowhere to go. They aren't going to go to the Democrats, especially now. You're not going to see defectors from Republicans go to the Democrats now because the Democrats are imploding. And they're being, I believe you're right when you say they're kind of being attacked and taken over by this socialist movement. It's interesting. We have a show on Mondays called The Policy. And it's hosted by young college Republicans of color. And when I listen, I run the audio and you can see them on our page, and also go to The Policy on Facebook and check them out. But it's interesting to listen what they have to say. And it's like, I'm really impressed with the young people that are part of the Republican Party. And I'm like, if these guys run for office, it's like, they're
really smart.
They're really smart. They do analysis that is like, it's thoughtful, it's thought out. Sometimes they do inflammatory stuff and they joke around a lot, but they I think are bringing a type of humanity and a type of clarity to the Republican Party. And again, they'll say some things that I might disagree with, but all in all, I'm very impressed. And I haven't seen any of that out of the Democrats. None of the presidential people running or anything.
Thank you to Sophia. She just gave us $20.
Really?
Yep. She said, thank you for educating us on the con artivist, which helped understand many things that didn't make sense before. And congratulations on your super chat premiere. Thank you, Sophia. We are so happy. It took months, right, Duke?
Well, actually, I didn't know how this stuff works, and it was the first time doing it. You're right, it's a premiere. We should have billed it as this is our premiere. It is our premiere. But at YouTube, it was difficult with YouTube. I used to be a YouTuber a long time ago, and I used to I did a few videos that got hundreds of thousands of views, and then I learned you could monetize them, and then so. They put advertising on them, and then every time people looked at the advertising, you get like a penny here, a half cent there. And I started getting checks from Google. All of a sudden a check would come in the mail from Google. Well, I did that for a number of years, and then one day YouTube changed the rules. They changed it that you needed at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time on your channel to qualify. And I hadn't built that many subscribers, so it took us a long time to get 1,000 subscribers, and people have helped promote that with us. Whoever does that for us, we thank you. Help promote our channel, and we got over 1,000 subscribers. But it took YouTube almost 3 months to approve our channel, and they just approved it just a couple of weeks ago. So I've been waiting this whole time to do a few other things besides just monetization and the idea of doing super chat. And I was curious how it was going to work, and we use the studio software when we do our shows, so it's hard for me to monitor the actual YouTube broadcast right now. But I did take a peek, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool because it's like, one, you can show your support, and two, you get this highlight, and so your name stands out there, and it's like, that's something that shows you support our work, and we are a nonprofit organization, and this money will go through into another format and stuff, but I believe that we could do something to show our response to people when we receive money directly from them. We could turn the money. I will turn the money directly over to our nonprofit organization and do a tax receipt at the end of the year for any donations we get with Super Chat. It's going to be passed through YouTube. Money's going to be eaten by them and that sort of stuff. But the end amount that actually comes to our organization, I'll make sure I track that because YouTube will do some sort of report for me, and I'll be able to do some sort of tax receipt because we want people to know that we raise money not for ourselves, but for our organization and for the work we do. So thank you very much for that contribution.
Exactly. And I want to thank Cindy Gibbony for the $20. She said, love your show. Thank you. Thank you. We love you, Cindy. We've been doing this for 3 years now, Duke?
Yeah.
That's amazing. What we've been through has really taught us a lot. We want to do media with responsibility. I feel like I have lost a lot of friends, so I'm glad that you're throwing us all of these lovely, supporters and the love that you send our way. It's very affirming, guys. I have to tell you, it's been rough the last few years because when you come from that progressive world and people, and you have this epiphany, you start seeing all of these folks doing these horrible things, you have to call it out. And by the way, I gave people the benefit of the doubt along the way. I admitted on my show today, I told a story about how Maggie Day had me take down a show. She had me take down a show, and I did it because I wanted to do right by the family of Kathleen Bennett. And this woman had her son call me and berate me and tell me to take down the show. So I did for the family. I didn't know I was being manipulated. But you know what? When I figured it out, it just made me all the more determined and angry. And I thought, I am not a puppet. I am not going to let this stand. What happened, Duke? You look very surprised.
Patriot Diva donated $9.99.
Oh,
thank her.
You. Patriot Diva, she said, thank you for all you do. Don't worry. Don't know why I can't send a whole number. That's okay.
Yeah,
that's perfectly
that's fine with us. Any support is very much appreciated. I tried at the beginning of the show to try to send something in just to test it, but I'm not signed up, and I thought, I got to run the show right now. I can't sit there and figure out where the money's going to come from, what credit card, if it's going to come from PayPal. I got to run the show right now, but I want to test this out. So thank you for helping us. Yeah,
everybody that's helped test this super chat tonight, I really appreciate it. Someone asked, can I use PayPal for super chats? Is that something that is possible, Duke?
I think it might be. Well, again, I'd have to go like this. Let me click the little thing.
If Nemo knows, it looks like Nemo is on it. Nemo, as always, is on it.
Buy and send.
Duke, I think that it's been asked and answered.
Oh, okay.
Asked and answered. But, we have along the way lost a lot of followers, supporters, because they were angry, because they said that I was attacking the movement, that I was hurting the movement. I'm using air quotes here. And I thought, how does one justify covering for, say, a rapist or a pedophile or a human smuggler? How do you justify that you need to not expose the history behind a person like Evan Duke or Louis Monsivice or Ed Higgins, etc., because it'll hurt the dang movement? I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to stay quiet for the sake of unity, some fake unity? What is this, some kind of a club? Is this like the Mickey Mouse Club where we're like recruiting for No. I got into doing media work because I had something to say and I wanted the ability to say it without a muzzle, without a leash, without someone controlling my voice and telling me what I could and I couldn't say. And honestly, I had to start walking away from all these people. I had to call them out and I had to be honest and I had to start walking away. And now I feel like I am constantly correcting the record, constantly exposing things that a lot of the folks that are close to me and that I was in circles with, they don't want to hear about it. But also because I feel like I haven't really changed. I'm still the same person. You're still the same person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that, I think about how my views really haven't changed, but I get more thoughtful about things and I get more mature about my reactions to things, and I learn more information. And it's like I used to be so reactionary when I was younger, and I was like in your face with stuff, and react to stuff so quickly, and it's like I've learned to kind of sit back and take in a lot more before I, actually voice myself. And I actually keep my mouth shut a lot now. I don't have much to prove to people. And, and I hear people pontificate about things and just their views are right out there. And the first time you're talking to them, they're telling you all this stuff about what they believe. And I'm not trying to make a statement. I just love the exchange between people so we can get to know each other better.
So thanks, Nemo, for putting that question on there. The question here is, does Paloma own a house in Mexico? I don't know if she owns, and by owns, I suppose you mean like has purchased, has a deed in her name. I don't know. I don't know that. I do know, and I did post it on my previous show, the one before tonight's show, which we did on Sunday evening.
Yeah.
With our special guest, Mary Tondo Quintanilla, that she herself posted on numerous occasions that she did not, all in caps, live in the United States. That she did not. That she lived in Mexico. She has stated in the past that she lived in Mexico City or in the state of Mexico, which is the area surrounding Mexico City, the capital of Mexico, in Valle del Bravo, excuse me. And it's possible. I suppose it's possible that she does. What I believe is true about, well, I don't believe. We tested it. So for those of you wondering about that, Duke, you were able to obtain the information, the exact address with which Paloma registered to vote.
Yeah, and this has got people saying all this other stuff, and it's like the information that I received and researched and had and then verified was that to check a voter registration in California, you need your name, you need just your house number of your full address, your date of birth, and your zip code. And you can punch those numbers in, and it'll come up whether your voter registration is valid. Paloma's information, I had her P.O. box number, which has a house address on it, because the beginning 4 numbers are in a street address. The rest of the numbers are actually the street and the zip code and a hyphenated, P.O. box. When you put those numbers in, her voter registration is valid. But the point of the segment was that you can't use a P.O. box. Obviously you can, but it's not legal. So
Right.
She used a P.O. box for her voter registration because she really hasn't clarified her residency. And she says, I could claim it here, and the idea is in California, you can go set up a shop, set up an apartment with somebody, move in 14 days before the election, live there, claim that residence as your voter address, your voter precinct, where you vote, who you vote for, who represents you, and you claim that, you can't vote anywhere else in the whole United States. That's where you vote because you claim that and you establish residency there. If you don't establish residency, you really can't vote. And the question.
Well, let me correct you there, Duke. There is a way that you can vote in the presidential election part only if you are living in another country. But listen, you have to contact. Usually have to go through the last state in the United States where you did live, and you have to tell them that you want to vote from the country where you're living in, and they give you instructions on how to do that, and you vote from Mexico.
Yeah.
Very specialized instructions.
Yeah, they have those forms on the California Secretary of State website.
Right.
The idea there is, though, you have to claim a voter residency.
Right.
And in fact, I was reading that in one community, they were trying to figure out how to get the homeless to vote. And they did a big campaign to get the homeless to vote, but the Secretary of State is like, well, they don't have an address. And what they ended up doing is they created that they would claim the actual courthouse in the precinct, in the area they live in, that would be their voter address, and they go vote at the courthouse. But their residency would be at that courthouse because they're living in the streets. Here in Moorhead, we registered people to vote, and we had the Secretary of State and the city clerk who runs elections locally. And she helped instruct us on how we could clarify, and the county clerk too, on how we could get people that were homeless how to vote. If people to shelters, we use a shelter address. But then we had people living in cars in the street, and they would move. They wouldn't stay there. In Minnesota, it's 30 days before the election. You have to live in an address and at a specific address. And it was like, these people weren't living in 30 days in the same spot in the street. So we had to do a lot of work with the local officials to make sure people could cast their vote. The thing with Paloma is she hasn't been very clear as really where she, and she should just give it up. It's like her vote didn't count. Basically, her vote was invalid. It's a spoiled ballot. That vote should not count. It should be stripped from the record. And the behind that is that voter fraud. I never thought a lot about it because I did so much voter registration, and the Republicans have made it harder for people to vote. I always thought it was being done to make sure certain groups of people can't vote and can't have their voice heard, because with the voter ID laws and those sorts of things, how often do you change your driver's license when you move? North Dakota made it so you have to have your new driver's license. Every time you move, you better get a new driver's license. Better spend about $20. Maybe you don't have that $20 to make sure that address is valid. You can have a utility bill to come to your house if you pay the utilities. Not everybody in the house has their name on the utility bill. You have to prove you have a residence before you vote because of the type of government we are. We're a representative government that's based on areas, because a California politician in a community and school board area isn't accountable to me. I live in Minnesota. Accountable to the
Right.
people in that school district, in that neighborhood, in those neighborhoods, in that community. They represent them. That's why it's important to have an address, and you're voting basically from a place that those people that are running for office that get elected represent you.
Yeah, you're my resident expert on this stuff. Like her responses, if you want to call them that, I call them psychotic rants, but they're ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
They're seriously ridiculous. Like, she doesn't even lie well. It's really pathetic to me. The voter fraud is just really the tip of the iceberg of what this person has been accused of doing. And for me, when the thing that really just like blew my mind was when we were first seeing the, Antifa people and the activists in Tijuana.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I did, because I speak Spanish, was I called reporters that were talking about these activists. When I was watching their live streams, there was a lot of different ones that were doing live streams out there at the beginning when everybody was outside of Benito Juarez, and there's like thousands of people there. So I started watching their live streams, and I noticed certain people ran into activists. what was funny, and I started watching this since they were in Mexico City because, Myron Dewey flew in, the dude from Digital Smoke Signals that's married to Deborah Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in there with a bunch of different activists, and I thought, I got to watch these people and what they're saying and what they're doing. So I noticed there was a bunch of Americans that were escorting, quote unquote, this caravan. Very much coyote style, okay? Very much coyote style. I don't know if Americans picked up on it. So I was like, somebody has to tell the Americans, this is not normal. This is not normal. This is not how it happens. So there was that. And then I noticed there was a bunch of raggedy, homeless looking, backpack wearing, ball cap wearing, t-shirt wearing, sneaker wearing, what looked like migrants that frequently would get up into the camera and start giving interviews or answering questions when the media came. Or they were wrangling the media when the media came. And they didn't have Central American accents. People in the media that were talking to these individuals were asking them, you're not Central American. Remember, most of these people were from Honduras, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, where are you from? You're not Honduran. You're not Central American. In fact, your accent sounds like you're from Mexico City, or, how here in the States you can pinpoint whether you're from the South or whether you're from Boston, or, you can hear in the way people talk. And it was people I could tell, so mm-hmm. They could tell there were certain activists, Mexican activists, passing themselves off as Central Americans. Because as long as they didn't talk, you didn't know. Look, just traveling with a caravan, right? And I knew that these people are shady. These people are facilitating this smuggling operation, whatever this thing is, this criminal operation. So Sonia was one of those people. She was one of the most aggressive ones. She was seen traveling with this caravan, escorting the caravan all the way to Tijuana. And for Paloma to walk into the crowd on that video with Ben Bergquam and just charge into the arms of Paloma and hug her. And then you see this woman, Sonia, that later gets arrested for biting the police. She got arrested several times, actually, pointing. She points at Paloma and she said, I love this woman. I love this woman. That's not somebody that you just ran into once in a while. You just saw a couple times. No. That is somebody that knows her. Right, Duke?
Right.
What did you think about that when you saw that? Or even Riebling?
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that. And it's, because we were discussing that she knew who this woman was, but she was dissing her, saying that she was just a crazy lady. Had nothing to do with her. She wasn't organizing the caravan, and she was keeping people in the streets. She was, keeping people in the streets close to the border wall so she could smuggle them through, and do that sort of thing. And that was a point we were trying to make, and then the whole Rambo Commando, Ivan, we were watching stuff on him, and I thought, who's this guy? He was there telling all the people, I can take you. I can take busloads of you and put you to work right away. He wanted to take busloads of people, to do his work. And, then the next videos we saw him doing,
become his slaves or something.
Yeah, become his slaves. And we saw him beat up in his place with his panthers and his big wildcats and stuff. I thought, this guy is strange. And I see, Paloma had a video with him, and then we showed that on our show tonight. With the YouTube Live, I can't really monitor the comments, so
I'm doing that, and doing that.
And so
we'll give you questions.
I know, but one thing I just noticed is, my whole point of saying that is that I can do a shot of one thing with the super chat. It goes away. It must be only for a certain amount of time that their posts stay posted, but it puts on the bottom. It gives people.
Sophia.
Yep.
Our top comments tonight are Sophia, Cindy, Gibney, and Patriot Diva.
Yep. So even though
Thank you so much to all of these beautiful ladies.
Even though the super chat, I know it's like your post stays pinned for a certain amount of time. We'll still show them. We can break the Facebook or the YouTube rules a little bit and show your support, show your super chat a little bit more. But it's like I guess that's the way it works.
So, with regard to the Ivan Riebling thing, I have to say, here's something interesting that happened because Paloma was on a radio program. And she had somebody question her about the photo she took with Ivan Riebling.
Mm-hmm.
And she thought that someone was asking her about taking pictures with the Jovi Val, the guy that wears the Nazi pin on his necktie and does the Sieg Heil salute and stuff.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
And then the person was like, no. The other guy. And it was the Ivan Riebling dude. And she's like, oh, we were just in an event. I think she said it was a rally. I believe she said it was a rally. We were at a rally, and he came up and asked to take a picture with me. I don't know who he is. And I was like, I call. No way. No way. Did this person who everyone knows him, everyone knows who he is, they have nicknames for him, Cobra Commander, Mexican Rambo. There's numerous articles about him in English, in Spanish. There's lots and lots of, I literally had no idea what his name was.
Mm-hmm.
And I started calling him Mexican Rambo.
Yeah.
To my friends and colleagues. I was like, the guy that looks like Mexican Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
And I later found out that he was also called the Cobra Commander dude. And I typed in, not knowing the guy's name, I Googled Mexican Rambo. Boop. He popped right up.
Yep.
Like you could literally be a moron and look at that guy and go, God, what does he make me think of? Type in a Google of that without knowing his name and find out who the guy is. But Paloma said she doesn't know. And by the way, and he stands out. I mean, like his head is bald.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's dressed for a movie set of Rambo. And here's the other thing. I watched a video. I watched a number of videos when I was researching Riebling because I researched Riebling too. And I started looking around, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I was researching Riebling and I was watching all the videos in which he was, in the videos that he was in, I was trying to figure out, what is he doing? What is that guy doing, right? Ooh. Patriot Diva just said P is besties with Riebling's wife. You mean Ivan Riebling? Oh.
Who is? What?
That Paloma for Trump is friends with Ivan Riebling's wife. What? Oh, thank you, P. Medich. We just got a $10 donation. Thank you so much. But look at, this is the picture. She says she didn't know him. Dude just walked up. He's wearing what looks like a police badge.
Yeah,
he is not part of law enforcement, folks. He is not part of law enforcement. He is a criminal a number of times over, connected to the cartels. Oh, Jovi's wife. I'm sorry. Patriot Diva said that Paloma is friends with Jovi Val's wife.
Okay, not the commando's wife.
Really? She's friends with Jovi's wife? Are you kidding me? Oh my. Well, wait a minute. I thought that she was doing Jovi. I thought she was doing Jovi.
Oh.
Can I say that?
I
thought Paloma had some kind of relationship with Jovi. Extra marital.
Well,
thing.
I don't know. To digger you deep with some of these, I can't even talk. the deeper you dig with some of these people, you find out really weird stuff, you know. And it's like people have really dysfunctional relationships with all sorts of people, you know.
There's a lot of that's gone on with the people that we've researched. But let me just tell you this, okay? I just really want to thank P. Medich once again for your support. Here's the thing. I do deductive reasoning. I think like a paralegal. My brain is always working like that because that's how I was trained. But I looked up this Ivan Riebling. I was trying to watch what he was doing there because he kept showing up like he ran Tijuana. And he was walking up to groups of people and he would look at the camera and say, I'm here to protect Mexico, because he knew Mexicans were mad. He knew Mexicans were sick of everything that had happened through the trajectory of the caravan. And he was like, I know. We're not going to allow these people to squat in the streets. We're not going to allow them to make a mess of our city. This is going to stop. Let me tell you something. If you guys are going to get involved with the cartel, I'm coming down here and I'm getting rid of you myself. Like he would run up to people and start threatening them. And then he would like turn on a dime and he would put his arm around a bunch of the people that were there, especially women. And he'd be like, what do you are you hungry? Are you hungry? And then he'd like whistle at an assistant in the get her some food. Bring her, this woman right here. She has kids. Get her some food. Bring some toys for the kids. And then like he was just doing that. He's walking around doing that. But every time he walked in, I mean, he's a pretty tall guy. So he's kind of head and shoulders above everyone else. And he was just walking through and he was barking orders at people. He would get people to get into little like huddles around him. And he'd be like, who needs a job? You guys need jobs? I got jobs for you. What can you do? Can you be a maid? I got 30 jobs in whatever state.
Out in the desert.
Yeah, like he would know, like down south, like Oaxaca and things like that. He's like, you can go and work as a maid over there. This is how much it pays. Sign her up. Get on the list over there. Go to that guy over there. Sign up on the list. You got a job. We're leaving tomorrow. You know, like he's just doing that all the time. And I was watching him because I was trying to figure out, is this guy for real? Is he following through on his threats? Is he giving people work? Is he for real, right? And then I saw him come in and he was walking around with Paloma. This was not at a rally. This was when they were sleeping in the streets in front of Benito Juarez. This is when all of the chaos ensued after they were told to leave and go to the shelter run by the government. When people like Sonia were lying and telling them, don't go to that shelter. They don't have water. People are getting sick. They're feeding you bad food. They don't have, they were just trying to fear factor people into not going over there. And honestly, I suspect that the people from the caravan that decided to stay there, they knew they were smuggling is very difficult to prove or to prosecute because the victims are frequently, I say victims, they're complicit. They're complicit because they want to be smuggled into the U.S. They're willing to take that risk. And they know that there could be extortion. There could be, you could be turned into a mule. You could get raped. All sorts of horrible things could befall you if on the trip. But they do it anyway. They do it anyway because they're willing to take that risk. But, this guy, he walks in there like he knows everyone there and he starts telling people what's what. And Paloma just starts walking with him. You can see them talking. They put their arms around each other. It wasn't some rally where some rando stranger was like, ooh, celebrity, can I take a picture with you, Paloma for Trump? And let me just add this, folks. In Mexico, there aren't a lot of people that walk around with a Make America Great hat again. Mexico is Mexico. It's a different country. How many American people do you know go to Mexico on vacation for pleasure or otherwise and wear a Make America Great Again hat, which they may end up finding out will only make someone mad or antagonize them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you really think that there are a lot of people that find that look for Paloma in Mexico because they want an autograph?
No, no.
Maybe here in the States, maybe, but I don't think in Mexico that's the case. I don't think that many of the people there know what she is.
Yeah, I think she just does it to get attention, to get people mad. And also, it's, a little bit of education is that Mexico is known as the United States of Mexico.
Yeah.
United States of North America is where I live. I live in the United States of North America. Where are the Americas? South America is America. There's people fighting for the Americas, 200-300 years ago. So it's like United States of Mexico, United States of North America, South America. It's all America, So when you say make America great, we're talking about this whole hemisphere.
And when people lie to you about little things, they're willing to lie about much, much bigger things. And let me just tell you that when this woman was taking a picture with Ivan Riebling, or maybe this photo that I showed on my show comes from a rally that she was at also, but that was not the only place they hooked up and were filmed together. When I saw her and him, and it looks like that was the day that it happened, it was when they had when they were out in front of the ballpark. There's a video. Y'all have, I'm sure one of you people that is watching right now probably saw this. I'm going to try to find it for you folks, okay? I'm going to try to find it for you folks. I think it was Ivan Riebling's video. I got to go and look for Ivan Riebling's video in which, because he walks right up to her, and they're like an arm's length away. They're obviously, Ivan Riebling has somebody filming for him because he's just out talking to the crowd and doing things. So they're talking, but they hug, they walk with each other. They're like there was more. And I remember seeing that, and I remember thinking that Ivan Riebling, I didn't know what circus he belonged to, but I knew there was an act involved.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was like, this guy is taken right out of a movie set. Like, this is definitely an actor. And Paloma comes off that way too. So when you see these two people together, you're like two people from a movie set just walked in on a scene, right?
Yeah.
That's what really tipped me off. So I know that she said she didn't know who that guy was. And that was the photo that people are talking about was taken at a rally where he simply walked up and said to her, a stranger, I want to take a picture with you. And she still doesn't know anything about him.
Yep.
If people kept asking me about a picture I took with a rando stranger, who I remember clearly because people keep asking me about it, and it turns out that this guy is, he's in jail right now. I think he was supposed to face something like 3 years because he assaulted a lawyer. Yeah. Eventually, these people all end up in jail. So for the first person that asked me, will there be justice for Paloma? What I can tell you is eventually all these people end up in jail. But, at the time, he was free, and Ivan Riebling was running around doing all sorts of crazy things. Eventually, though, I think that karma catches up with these folks. And I believe that she lied about that because I think she did know him. I think she does know him. And you know what else they asked her that day? They asked her, hey, they said, do you know who Evan Duke is? Oscar knows who Evan Duke is. Anthony knows who Evan Duke is. Hell, Half of Tijuana has now been informed about Antifa and who their leadership is, thanks to yours truly and other reporters there like Alfredo Alvarez, Ibrahim Aros, Oscar El Blue Ramirez, etc. And she don't know who that is?
Yeah, another lie.
She was asked directly if she knew who he was, and her response
No.
was no. Her response was a long pause.
Yeah.
And then, no.
Yep, doesn't want to associate. That person doesn't want to associate. When we were in Tijuana, sweet.
Oh, thank you.
We went to Tijuana and spent some time with Oscar El Blue, and he took us over to the shelter. And what was surprising to me, Benito Juarez shelter, is that it was much smaller in reality than what my eyes thought of it, because I saw nothing but videos and pictures, and I saw all those thousands and thousands of people in the street and thousands of people on the ball field and people inside the structures all over there in the basketball courts and inside everything. And it was amazing to me when I actually walked on the land and walked around and went, this place is so much smaller than I ever imagined. And the streets were small. And so we walked down the streets, which all the people were camped in. And, he told us that, everything's been cleaned up. They had to pull all the dirt out of here because there was so much defecating going on, and it was polluted. They had to remove all the dirt and bring in new dirt. And everything was totally cleaned up. But to me, once I actually saw the place, it was so much smaller. So I couldn't imagine the density of people that were there. And the people that played a role in keeping people there, to keep them there so they could do their action, to have people rush the border so they could do their tear gas canister backdrop for their new movie and cause that mayhem for that cause. It disgusts me.
And, you're right, Patriot Diva. It is the most dangerous city in the world with the highest murder rate, and 80%. No, that's a low number. Patriot Diva, that is a that is a conservative figure, what you just gave. 80% run by you-know-who. It's more like 90. It's more like 90% of all of the states in Mexico. That's why a lot of times it's called a narco government, because of that influence. That is true. And people, I have to tell you, there are a lot of really stupid, I find them stupid because I don't feel like I need to respond to inane or ridiculous accusations, and I'm not going to ever, stoop to doing that. What I will tell you is that I have a lot of respect for Oscar and the work that he does, because he is brave. And I will tell you why I know he is brave. Because a lot of the people in Mexico, in the city of Tijuana, they gave up on talking about this issue. The people are still there. You saw these Antifa-connected American activists, right there at the border crossing, serving oatmeal, assaulting American bloggers, and threatening Mexican reporters like Oscar. You saw them still operating in the city. Who is covering that?
Nobody.
Who is talking about it still? Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Nobody.
Everyone lost their courage, or they got bored, or I don't know. Did you see how many new shelters these Americans are operating? That should be illegal. But you know what they say about Mexico? Con dinero baila el perro. Right? With money, you can get the dog to dance. You can accomplish anything with money. And that is there's nowhere more true than in Mexico. In Mexico, if you have money, look, we still don't know if the guy you have in jail here is really the Chapo. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how serious money is.
Mm-hmm. Somebody else took the fall and got plastic surgery.
Well, he did get plastic surgery. That guy does not look like the original Chapo.
No.
And of course, they tell us it's because he got plastic surgery. But do you know how many times that guy escaped?
Yeah.
Maximum security prisons? You don't just escape maximum security prisons. He escaped because they let him. You know, I got to tell you a story, Duke. This is a story that the pastor pastor from the Shelter Agape, the one I've been talking to, just told me. Mm-hmm. I told this to you in the shower the other day. Remember?
Yeah.
We were talking about a family that got sequestered. Now, this is happening all the time because the human smugglers, they are making money off of the people in the caravan. Don't think that this lie you were told that, oh, these people are traveling in a caravan because they're poor. They don't want to pay human smugglers. And this way they travel together and keep each other safe. No. That is a big, fat lie from the pit of hell. They're all paying one way or another way, but they are paying. They are paying. And one of the things that happens to them is they get kidnapped. They get kidnapped. They have coyotes that are responsible for a group of, say, 50 to 100 people. And they've been paid, usually only half of what they're going to get paid, to take a person to the border and cross them, right? You get the other half when you cross. However, these greedy smugglers, when they realize you have money, which most of these people do have, they extort more money. So what they do is they'll say, oh, you know what? This is as far as I can go. Now you will go with this other smuggler. They're going to take you the rest of the way. This is usually a bad sign. When that happens, and I've heard these stories over and over again because I went to Tijuana. I interviewed some of the people that got kidnapped before with Oscar. So I've seen a pattern where they hand them off to someone else, and then that new coyote goes, I'm going to need payment from you. And if you don't pay, you get put into a holding facility. Basically, they tie them up and kidnap them and keep them in a closed, in this case, it was 100 or more people in a room with no windows. And if you didn't pay, you don't get out. This family managed to get their family members back home to pay the extortion fee. Guess what happened? They then fled to Tijuana, and they wanted to report the crime in Baja California and also find out what happened to all the other people they left in the jail, basically, in the kidnapping. What happened to the people that couldn't pay the extortion fee? Did they live? Did they survive? What happened? The authorities in Baja California, understandably because of the changes in jurisdiction, said, we cannot help you. You need to report the crime in the state that the crime occurred, in the city where the crime occurred. And they said, we tried to report the crime. The cops told us, we told them we were being extorted, had money extorted from us. They told us to go back to our handlers. The police were colluding with the kidnappers. How do you get the police to investigate themselves for their collusion in the kidnapping? So do you understand the kind of jeopardy people put themselves in because of their gamble to come to the United States? Add to that that they're bringing their kids because somebody told them that you can get out of jail free or quickly. And by jail, I mean detention facilities if you bring a kid.
Yeah.
Add to that the fact that people were making hand over fist money in Tijuana. Hand over fist during this period of time. Everyone knew it. Oscar knew it. Oscar reported it. Oscar said the smuggling right now is at its peak. It's insane. But Paloma missed it. Yeah. Paloma didn't notice any of it, report on any of it, attack any of it. Yeah. Not a single Antifa leader. She didn't point out a single. Really?
No. And I started watching her a long time ago because people said, you should hook up with Paloma for Trump. I go, well, who's this Paloma for Trump? And I look at her videos and I thought, oh, this chick is just out there ranting and raving about stuff and wearing Trump stuff and talking Trump this, Trump that, build a wall and all this stuff. And I thought, and she's supposedly, in Tijuana and not covering any of this stuff. I appreciate the reporters who have continued to report these things because it's still really serious issues. And now with the United States trying to change the policy on pretty much incarcerating everybody if they have children, that they all get incarcerated, and stuck in different detention centers, and they're not going to let anybody go. They're going to just be detained for up to 5 years as a deterrent to keep people from crossing the border. The smuggling operations are going to boom even more now, and it's these things are just creeping up for their solution to stop people from coming across the border and being released into the wild until they await their court hearing.
Now, I have to read you something. The man of the hour that we have been talking about, which I deeply respect for his incredible work ethic, Oscar El Blue Ramirez. This guy has a work ethic of
give him a hand.
Yes, he has one of the strongest work ethics of anybody I know. And I told him, and I mean this with all of my heart, I said, I respect you the way that I respect my dad. His work ethic is impeccable. Mm-hmm. The man has never missed a day of work. He's been working at the same place since I was in high school, dude. Yeah. Same place since I was in high school.
Well,
still.
That's not long ago, was it?
You're sweet. Of course, some of the horrible accusations people have made about Paloma saying that I'm infatuated with Oscar. Nemo said to Oscar, since my mom's infatuated with you, sarcasm. And then he says, the truth, and I am a witness. Paloma's got it wrong. Oscar's infatuated with Duke. It's his radio voice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Oh, you guys hit it off when we were down in Tijuana.
No, he's great. He's a great ambassador. He's a great host. He made sure we were taken care of. He set up, things for us. He drove us around. He had our itinerary of what he wanted to show us. Very respectful man. Got to know him more, and as we talked, he got to know more of Cindy's needs, because of her having broke her leg and different things like that he modified our schedule to not have the heavy lifting and climbing we were going to do. And, we only spent a day and a half, and it was like he was there helping us every bit of the way. And I just hated to leave. I hated to leave because we were just getting rolling, all the way till we actually had to go across the border and catch our ride to go back to San Diego. It was like, sorry, we'll be back. Made a promise. And I really want to go back. And, I
want to keep that promise.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to keep that promise. I'll tell you something. If I could have spent every day that we were there working with him, I would have been over the moon because in what we accomplished in a day and a half, man, it was the best stuff. By the way, we got a question from the man of the moment, Oscar El Blue Ramirez. He said, what is the most dangerous coverage? What is the most dangerous reporting that we've had to do as a couple? What would you say that was?
Most dangerous reporting? Well, it's kind of repercussions from your reporting. I mean, we went to Standing Rock and reported. We went there like 5 times. I don't feel... Well, we were in danger at Standing Rock because there was a militarized police on a line and people yelling at them and throwing stuff at them when they put up the wire and all that stuff, and they had rubber bullets and all this stuff. But we weren't over there reporting up against the wall, the line, they called it the front line. But we were surrounded by law enforcement. We had to go through law enforcement to actually get there. We went to a casino, was full of law enforcement. I never felt like I was in danger because we were the media. Although they shot people that were media. Because, most of that media were sellout media that were part of the infiltrators.
Yeah.
But,
they were infiltrators.
But where I felt it was most dangerous is the repercussions for doing that work and also working with the Kathleen Bennett case to where we were exposing the phonies, exposing the frauds. People who made millions of dollars we were exposing as being frauds, instigators. And they started sending people to us, to our house, outside our house, knocking on doors, sending police to our house, sending thugs to our house, following me in the car. that I felt was dangerous, but we had a plan. We created safety for ourselves, but that was probably the time where we had to shutter our windows and doors and not leave this house for 4 months through a whole winter. I felt that we were in danger every day, but you know what? We still kept reporting every single day. It didn't stop us.
Yeah, it didn't stop us. And, you know, that saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, it's totally true. Although it did make me feel like they were going to kill us.
Yeah. No, I went I went so far as
we were scared.
I went so far as surveying our neighborhood to see from line of sights to our windows in our house, and I noticed in the kitchen you could see the top of our heads when you were a half a block away, and I thought, well, a sniper could shoot you in the head, so I boarded up those windows higher so no one could tell if you were in the kitchen. I mean, that's how serious it was, because it was very serious.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have recordings for people that called us and said that people that Bill Running Fisher, one of the first people I exposed as a fraud, he was a mercenary, but a lot of these people are just super incompetent anyway, that he was Blackwater or Tiger Swan, and that these are the kinds of people that will kill you, usually without anyone being able to tell that it was a murder or a hit job, and they make it look like an accident. That's that's what people were saying to me.
Yeah.
You don't think that kind, and we knew that there were mercenaries at Standing Rock.
Yeah.
So, and my kids were here, and of course, my parents, my dad especially, they were mortified. Mm-hmm. They were. It was hard talking to my family about, you know, when you talk to your parents, especially if you have Mexican parents, they're like, at least mine, kind of like constantly call and want to know every detail of my life. So it was hard to talk about it and just be honest about what was going on, because they didn't like it. Mm-hmm. They didn't like it. Did your parents ever get mad at you? I guess nobody really liked what we were doing. Oh, no. They're not mad, but I mean... No,
they weren't mad. They're concerned. I remember my father was like, actually, he told me that if people aren't mad at you, you're not doing your job. But he'd always say, also, do you like what you're doing? Keep safe out there. But it's like, don't worry. If people are getting angry at you like that, you are definitely doing your job. So I always appreciate that sort of support from my father.
Yeah. But that was definitely a life-changing experience, going to Standing Rock. Somebody asked me right after Standing Rock happened if I regretted going to Standing Rock, and my initial reaction was yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God! Do you remember how I felt when we got back from Las Vegas?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean it was
awful.
Our early coverage of Standing Rock, though, is like, our purpose was to talk to people, the people who were duped, pretty much, indigenous people from all over the country. We're there for a spiritual reason. The thing that is so disgusting when we look back, they were duped also. But we got so many stories. You can go to our webpage at kpppfm.com and look at the early coverage of Standing Rock and listen to some of the testimony that people gave about why they came, why they were coming together. I mean, that I think was pure. I think that it was organized and structurally manipulated to prey on people's need to be unified, to change this world. So people had a true heart quest of what they were looking for when they went there.
There was definitely a movement that was,
definitely a movement that was stolen. But if we wouldn't have went there, we would have never got involved. We would never uncover stuff. We would never expose what we actually expose. It's an incredible story. It's a lot of footage of audio, little video footage, some photographs, but mostly audio. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible story that goes through, from July to November, July, August, September, November, 5-6 months at Standing Rock and beyond. For a whole another couple of years, but till when the camps closed, which happened within a year and a half. And it's an incredible amount of information we have on our website that if you ever want to understand that more, I don't regret it because we have that. Our initial reason for going, it's like we were duped. We were sucked in, And we were preyed upon like everyone else, but we didn't stand for it.
I mean, I'm just talking about the initial feeling I had right after we took Kathleen back home, and it was finally over. It felt like it had been a thankless job where we were constantly attacked, and I don't know. I was really, I guess I was depressed. I guess
Oh
I
yeah,
was
you were.
depressed, and I was really like mentally exhausted, and I didn't want to hear about any of these people again.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, when they went on to do new camps and new campaigns and go on to their next fraud, and people started sending me information, Cindy, look, they're doing this now. I was like, please don't talk to me about those people
Yeah.
ever again. I don't want to hear
Oh yeah.
anything
Yeah. Also,
about
the floodgates opened up. There were so many frauds in Staying Rock. People started sending us information about so many people, and they're like, cover this person, this person, go for this person, do this, and it's like, I think we've covered so many. I don't want to take on new cases. I don't want to deal with all these other things. I want to move on. And then people like Evan Duke show up, and continue to go. Some of them went down. I mean, I actually, with these influencers, like Ed Higgins and Mike Fassig and Myron Dewey, who's still out there, most of them have crashed and burned. Dean Dedman, they've crashed and burned. And it's like, because we exposed them, and we exposed them, and we took that, we held them accountable to a standard that people could see they were doing, and they were frauds, and they were their own demise. And then we watched them swirl downwards and downwards and out. And now we're dealing with this Paloma for Trump, who is a mirror image of saying the same things, doing the same things all these other people have done. Blah, 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 I'm going to do this to you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it just goes on and on. These people come from the same mold, the fraud mold.
You know what happens? It reminds me so much of like the Nathan Phillips hoax, where all of these celebrities, politicians, native leaders from the march, the Indigenous Peoples Day March, they were all tweeting and putting their social media out there saying, these MAGA hat wearing racist kids, they disrespected a Native American veteran from from Vietnam. And I was like, oh dear God. It was like somebody came and took a poll, and the outcome of the poll, whether or not you answered yes or no, made you a racist, right? And on social media, people feel like they have to react to that.
Yeah.
And especially when it's something this big, which was very poorly explained on CNN and our national mainstream media, then a lot of people get duped into falsely criticizing, jumping on the bandwagon and accepting this fake hate crime. And then when people confront them and call them dumb or, sheeple or lemmings or susceptible to that propaganda, they feel like you're insulting them because you're telling them they've been duped. People don't like being told that they fell for someone else's sick or stupid game.
Yeah.
You're calling all of these kids racists and saying that they built the wall, all this stuff they didn't say, because you're really jaded and you're really somebody that's biased. So now you have people yelling at each other, calling each other names, because we're all susceptible to their stupid propaganda. And that's exactly what they want us to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they want us to do. So I learned a lot. Yeah. All I have to say is I learned a lot from what happened at Standing Rock and beyond. And I feel like every new example of that helps me to expose to the American people the kind of warfare we're being attacked with, so that we don't keep falling for it. And so that we can sit down and logically think, wait a minute, something just happened. When any major event happens, I look at the media and go, okay, how are they messaging about this? How are they trying to manipulate me? I'm not going to let people get away with manipulating anymore. So rather than knee-jerk react, I wait and I look at who is saying what. What's the messaging behind it? All right, let me see if there's any more questions for our Q&A.
Yep. Been a good
They
one.
just reported the Honduran consulate in my city. I just wondered how to cover what's going on there. Oh, these are questions for Oscar. Now, Oscar's at Paul. I'm sure that Oscar is a complete sound mind and does have a mother. I don't think he really needs just another one. Just saying. Okay, guys. Do I have a question?
I guess if we're getting ready to close this out, I do appreciate that.
We had a great first premiere
Yep.
super chat.
Yeah, and I want to bring up, just again to thank the people who contributed. It's our first time doing this. This money will go to good use. I understand it doesn't come for a while. It goes through AdSense, what they do monthly sorts of things. We'll definitely put it to good use for our station. Any support you can give us would be wonderful. We are a nonprofit organization and we run a radio station. And now we're YouTubers. Hey.
Hey guys, also remember, we're going to do Q&As now once a week. We really run a tight ship on the show. And we're constantly on script. So it's very hard for me to read comments and questions, although many of you have a ton of very important questions. And I will just say one more thing to close out the show. Oh, Oregon Sunshine said, even Wes Clark Jr. in one of your interviews stated you more than any other reporter knew exactly what was going on.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
That's true. Yes, because he knew I was on to him. He knew I was on to all of them. That's why they're trying to manipulate me and control what I was saying. That's exactly right. But let me just tell you that, one of the things that people, especially those who are new, and I'm not criticizing you if you are a new follower. I thank you very much for your support and for your patronage. Here's what I want you to know, though. The amount of work I've done is incredible. It's taken years to do. And that's where my knowledge that's where our knowledge comes from on many of these subjects, on many of these individuals. It isn't just some quick CNN report where I have a 3-minute soundbite from someone. No. I've been researching people for months in advance in order to tell you what I'm telling you. I am showing you in a concise, summarized way the best of my evidence, not all of my evidence, not even a fourth of all of my evidence. That's how much evidence I usually collect before I decide to talk about someone. So know that when I say that, I mean it applies to everyone I have exposed. Everyone. I haven't shown you even a quarter of what I have on Wes Clark Jr., on any of the people I've exposed. I haven't. By the time I have a mountain of evidence that makes me feel so confident that I can, not just that I have it, that I've confirmed it, but that I can competently talk about it, that's when I expose people. So then when people come back and they have questions and they have doubts, which you're all welcome to have. I'm not saying that I am 100% of the time 100% right. But what I do know how to do is research. What I do know how to do is make an argument and present it to an audience. I learned it as a paralegal, and I think that it translates well into radio. And what I will say is that when folks inbox me, many times with a not very good intent, with a malice of intent, to make me explain myself about what I said about XYZ. It's happened lately with Paloma. Or they want me to answer questions about my past, answer questions about my work, answer questions about my personal life. First of all, if you're not going to put me to work and pay me for my work, I'm not going to do your bidding. You're welcome always And now we have an avenue to do it, to come on the Super Chat and ask your questions. And especially if you give a donation, we'll definitely prioritize it and make sure that it gets mentioned. And I will definitely answer, unless it's something really, really personal that you don't have any business knowing. But for the most part, I'm going to be open with my audience and tell you. But when I do my shows, I can't do that. I really can't. I'm focused on exposing the information and presenting it to you in the most concise way. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. Mm-hmm. So join us for Super Chats, for question and answers. Save any important burning questions that you have for me or Duke on our personal life, on our work that we do, on any particular show. And we will answer it here at least once a week. We're going to do these Super Chats from now on. So, folks, thank you for being here and joining us and asking questions and being awesome. Duke, talk to the people. Give them some of that caramely.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Join us the next time. And don't forget to watch our shows on Facebook, too. Thank you.
Have a blessed evening.
Buenas noches.
Buenos nachos.